Well, as the race for the White House enters its final days, both candidates are crisscrossing this country in a bid to rally support. In a pretty shocking new poll, Kamala Harris has taken a late lead in Iowa. That is a state that Trump won pretty comfortably in both 2016 and 2020. But as we've seen before, every poll must be taken with a bit of a grain of salt. For his take, former Obama administration official Peter Loge joins us now. Good morning to you. What do we think about this Iowa poll? That's really an outlier.
It is the only poll showing her ahead in Iowa. It's interesting. You know, maybe they're counting different kinds of people than other polls are counting. Certainly the Harris campaign feels good about it. The Trump campaign's pretty angry about it. So we'll see in a couple days whether or not it's right.
Is it fake news?
No, it is not fake news. It's a real poll by a reputable firm that has a lot of people paying attention.
So could it be older women swinging towards Kamala?
It could be older women, especially those who were involved in the women's rights movement in the early 70s, saying we're not going back. Right? It could be college educated. It could be a number of voters who looked at Donald Trump's sort of rage-filled rally at Madison Square Garden saying, okay, we've had enough. It could be a lot of things.
Or could it be wrong?
It could also be wrong. It could also be wrong.
Okay, so I guess that's a definitive answer. Thank you, Peter.
You're from my expert insight.
What about the bro vote? A lot has been made of this. Donald Trump is attracting men. One theory about that is that straight white Christian males who want to be part of a movement that doesn't hate them are voting for him. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
I think that is kind of interesting. You've got two sets of voters. One group of voters who would probably never vote for a woman and never vote Democratic anyway. The other piece is younger men without college degrees who might not have voted, who Trump is bringing into the fold. He's getting them to register and turn out in ways that, they hadn't before, which is what he's done in the past historically as well. It could be.
So how accurate are the polls? We're seeing razor-thin margins, but we're also seeing polls that are slightly different in those 7 swing states. How do we decipher them, or we just wait?
I think we just wait. The polls have been tied for about a month. I've talked to the heads of 2 major polling firms this week who kind of shrugged when you ask them what's going to happen. A lot of polling is modeling, who you choose to talk to, what questions you ask them, and how much weight you give those answers. If the models are right, the polls are tied, we'll see who shows up on Election Day. Someone's going to be right. Everyone's going to say, I told you so.
So who's your pick?
I think Arsenal to finish 3rd after last weekend's results.
In the presidential election.
I think Arsenal to finish 3rd. I'm not picking. I'm like
you can't
else.
even pick.
I have no idea. I'm terrible at political predictions. There's a scholar named Phil Tetlock who counted political predictions of pundits on television shows and measured them against political outcomes. Dart-throwing monkeys are better predictors of political outcomes than pundits, so I'm going to stick with my Arsenal.
We need to sack some pollsters, I think, right about that. The one thing else, before we let you go, I wanted to ask you about is this use of celebrity in this country. We've seen the biggest stars in the world line up for each candidate. Does that sway voters?
It may encourage people to come out to vote. Certainly Taylor Swift got a lot of people to register to vote, but energizing people. You had a lot of celebrities from Puerto Rico really telling Puerto Rican voters, Republicans yelled at them and called them awful things. It's energizing. In an election this close, anything could matter, so you give everything a shot.
I thought that made people angry when they saw worthy celebrities telling them how to vote.
I'm not sure that you've got a Trump supporter out there, a Harris supporter out there who says, I like Kamala Harris, but that Taylor Swift, she's not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to go for the guy who's anti-choice, pro-gun, and hates immigrants. You might be fussy. You're going to go in the voting booth. You're going to do what you're going to do.
Peter Loge, thank you very much for your insight.